Chosen one, listen carefully, because something about this hour is going to leave an imprint beneath your thoughts. It will not sit only in memory. It will move lower into the chamber of the heart, where certain feelings keep breathing, even when the mind tries to bury them. What is moving between you and this person is not casual. They may act measured on the outside, but inside them, the current is stronger than they have admitted. There is a wordless pull here, a hidden thread that keeps tugging both of you back into one another's atmosphere. Even when no message comes, even when distance stretches itself across the room, the bond still speaks. It feels as though something in you recognized something in them before either of you had language for it. Not because everything is clear yet, but because the unseen part of this connection has been stirring longer than the visible part. Now it is beginning to press its way into real life. They see you in a way they cannot easily explain. You are not simply a face, a voice, or a passing attraction to them. You carry a quiet force. You enter a space and the air seems to notice. Your calm, your restraint, your small movements, your way of being present without begging to be seen, all of it stays with them. And they study details they would never confess out loud. The shift in your eyes, the silence before you answer, the warmth that appears and disappears around you like candlelight behind glass. The more they try to dismiss what they feel, the more it returns. You have become a presence inside their private hours, showing up in old conversations, unfinished glances, and imagined nearness. They wonder what lives beneath your composure. They wonder whether your heart has felt the same pull, or whether you, too, are holding the door almost closed. The High Priestess sits behind the veil of this silence, reminding you that not every truth arrives with noise, and not every longing announces itself plainly. There is a scroll of feelings still rolled up inside them. There are two pillars in this story, desire on one side and restraint on the other, and between them the quiet water keeps moving. So do not rush to drag the hidden thing into daylight before its hour. Your task is not to chase a confession out of fear. Your task is to trust what your spirit has already been sensing, while still requiring reality to meet you with clarity. The King of Swords reversed appears right where clarity was demanded, because their mind may be sharp, chosen one, but it is no longer seated upright. They can analyze the distance. They can rehearse the safe answer. They can lift that invisible blade and try to separate desire from memory. But the body is not ruled by argument. The body keeps its own scripture. That is why the ghost of your kiss does not haunt them like a loud storm. It arrives like breath on glass. It shows up when they are washing a cup, reaching for keys, sitting in a parked car before going inside. One ordinary moment opens and suddenly there you are, not as a thought alone, but as a sensation. They remember the nearness first, the small pause before contact, the heat of almost saying what neither of you was ready to say. Even if the kiss has only lived in imagination, their nervous system treats it like a secret already placed on the tongue. There is a sweetness there, but also a blade. Because what they want from you cuts through the version of themselves that pretended to be unaffected. And this is where the silence begins to speak. In the image, the sword is inverted, and that is the tension inside them. Their logic points the wrong way when your memory rises. The butterflies hover like thoughts trying to transform, but transformation cannot happen while they keep pretending nothing moved. The crown is present, but the command is unstable. They want to rule their emotions, yet their emotions keep walking through the palace uninvited, so they become still in strange places. They linger over a message they do not send. They stare at a door longer than necessary. They hear a song and feel the old closeness gather behind their ribs. They may not call it longing. They may call it distraction, curiosity, unfinished business, anything except the truth. But naming a fire by another name does not make it cold. Chosen one, your presence has become sensory to them. Not dramatic, not theatrical, specific. The imagined warmth of your mouth, the rhythm of your breathing, the charged quiet after closeness. The feeling that one touch would not end at the skin, but would travel deeper into every locked room they have kept guarded. That realization unsettles them, because they are discovering that distance can hide behavior, but it cannot erase imprint. They can stay composed around other people, but alone, the memory rearranges the air, and slowly, their inner movement begins. They stop asking why they are haunted and begin asking what the haunting is revealing. It reveals hunger for honesty. It reveals the failure of pride. It reveals that some connections do not need constant contact to remain alive. They are beginning to understand this. What they tried to dismiss has become the very evidence they cannot ignore. Becomes the magician at midnight, chosen one, because what was once a passing ache now starts creating a world inside them. They discover that longing is not passive. It builds scenes. It gathers tools. It takes a cup, a song, a hallway, a half-lit ceiling, and turns them into an altar of remembrance. In the quietest hours, when nobody is watching their face, they become both witness and maker. They replay the almost touch. They rebuild the silence before your lips would meet. They imagine the breath between you like a spark waiting for permission. And this is the deeper truth beneath their composure. They are not only haunted by you, they are participating in the haunting. Their mind places the cup on one side, the blade on another, the coin of possibility near the hand, and the wand of desire across the table of the heart. Every element is there, but they hesitate to use it. They have enough feeling to speak, enough memory to move, enough hunger to reach. Yet something in them still fears the miracle they might summon if they finally stop pretending. This is why the nights feel different for them now. In daylight, they can wear the old mask. They can answer simply. They can seem busy, reasonable, untouched. But when the room settles and the world becomes small, their control thins. The phone glows like a doorway. Their chest tightens like a hand closing around an unspoken name. Even sleep does not always rescue them, because dreams have their own way of opening locked rooms. Still, something inside them keeps circling back. They may wonder why one person can leave such a precise trace. Not just a general attraction, not just a beautiful thought, but a sensory signature. The warmth, the softness, the pause. The feeling that your nearness would change the temperature of the room. It unsettles them because it makes desire feel less like fantasy and more like recognition. And chosen one, that is where pride begins losing its throne. Pride needs distance to survive. Pride needs explanations, excuses, clean lines, and delayed answers. But memory does not honor those rules. Memory slips under the door. It sits at the edge of the bed. It waits beside the mirror. It whispers that what they are avoiding may be the very thing asking them to become honest. The inner tension is simple, but not easy. They want to stay untouched, yet they keep shaping you out of silence. They want to remain in command, yet every quiet hour proves that their heart is already practicing surrender. So their realization begins like a small flame cupped against the dark. If they can create entire worlds from the memory of you, then maybe the real question is not whether they feel it. The real question is whether they will have the courage to bring that feeling out of imagination and into the living air. The Page of Swords reversed stands at the edge of that living air, chosen one, because they want to speak into it, yet their thoughts keep tripping over your calm. That calm is the part they cannot master. Not your beauty alone, not your mystery alone, your composure. The way you can feel deeply and still not collapse into needing proof. The way you can be warm without becoming available to confusion. The way you do not have to chase a room, because your presence makes the room turn its head. That is why the distance has not erased you. They may watch for signs. They may read tone into a small pause. They may notice when you withdraw, when you soften, when your energy becomes less reachable. But their watching does not give them authority over you. It only exposes how much they are trying to understand a person who cannot be possessed by observation. There is a young restlessness in them, a messenger pacing with an upside-down blade. They want information before vulnerability. They want certainty before honesty. They want to know whether the door is open before they risk knocking. Yet you are not built like a door that swings for every uncertain hand. You are more like a garden after rain, quiet, fragrant, guarded by leaves, alive without explaining its aliveness. Chosen one, this is your power. You are not loud about your worth anymore. You are not dragging your heart into the marketplace, begging someone to name its value. You have learned that softness can have boundaries. You have learned that silence can be sacred. You have learned that being desired does not mean being available to disorder. And they feel that shift in you. They feel how you no longer lean forward in the old way. They feel how your spirit has stopped bargaining with mixed signals. They feel how the ribbon between you loosens whenever they delay, and tightens only when truth comes near. That makes them nervous, because your calm removes their hiding places. Before, they may have believed they could study you from a distance and stay safe, but your self-possession has turned the mirror back on them. Now every glance asks them what they intend. Every memory asks whether they are brave. Every quiet moment asks if they are drawn to your soul, or only addicted to the thrill of not having you fully. The inner movement here is important. They are beginning to understand that you are not a puzzle placed before them for entertainment. You are a person with a spirit, standards, and a life moving forward. If they keep approaching with suspicion, delay, or half-truth, they will meet only the closed gate. But if they come with respect, if they bring clarity instead of cleverness, the air may change. The sun rises over that changing air, chosen one, because clarity is beautiful, but it also exposes every place where fear has been hiding. This is the part they wanted and resisted. They wanted warmth with you. They wanted the simple joy of being near, without disguises, without coded messages, without measuring every word before it leaves the mouth. But warmth reveals. Light does not only comfort the face. It enters the corners. It shows the dust on the old armor. It makes every excuse look thinner. So they stand in the tension between desire and exposure. They can feel how close this could become if they stopped managing the distance. A kiss would not be only a kiss to them. It would be the red banner lifted over a private battlefield, a signal that the inner war has changed direction. It would say the body has already admitted what the mind kept negotiating. It would say the guarded place is no longer untouched. That is why they hesitate, not because the feeling is weak, but because it is too revealing. Nearness with you asks more than appetite. It asks for presence. It asks them to show up without the polished mask, without the clever exit, without the old habit of staying half in and half out. Your closeness feels bright enough to find the hidden bruise beneath their confidence. Yet while they wrestle with desire, you are rising. You are not waiting in the shadows, hoping they finally notice the flowers around your spirit. You are blooming with or without applause. There are bees moving through the field of your life, small messengers of sweetness and work, reminding you that your value is not suspended until someone chooses courage. Your radiance is not a request. It is evidence that you have survived seasons that tried to dim you. And they sense that too. They sense the joy returning to your face. They sense how your energy feels less like a question and more like a home you are building inside yourself. That makes the possible closeness even more intense, because they know they cannot enter your peace carrying confusion like muddy shoes. The psychological movement begins when they realize that crossing the boundary is not the danger. The danger is crossing it without integrity. The danger is tasting the truth, then pretending it was nothing. The danger is stepping into your warmth and still acting cold afterward. Chosen one, this is why their quietest moments are growing louder. The imagined kiss has become a test of character. It asks whether they want the glow without responsibility, or the connection with all the honesty it requires. Because once light touches the hidden thing, denial cannot return to darkness unchanged. The King of Pentacles reversed turns that changed darkness into a question of value. Chosen one. Because desire without steadiness becomes another shadow. They may crave the kiss, the closeness, the private sweetness of your breath near theirs, but craving is not the same as readiness. A person can want the fruit and still not know how to tend the vineyard. A person can imagine the warmth of your mouth and still fear the responsibility of meeting your heart with both hands open. And the memory is not leaving quietly. It begins to feel like a coin pressed into the palm of their spirit. Solid, warm, difficult to ignore. They carry it through the day like something hidden in a pocket, touching it without admitting they are touching it. The taste of you, or the thought of tasting you, becomes tied to safety and danger at once. Safety, because your presence feels grounding. Danger, because real grounding asks them to stop floating above the truth. There are grapes in this inner chamber, heavy with ripeness. There are lilies, soft and fragrant, reminding them that tenderness cannot survive rough handling. There is a crown near the animal part of them, the part that wants comfort, possession, and proof. But the throne is not upright inside them yet. The ruler in them is still learning how to govern desire without turning it into control. Chosen one. This is the sacred difference. They may feel haunted by the sensory imprint, but the haunting is asking them to mature. Not to own you, not to consume your light, not to treat your affection like treasure they can lock away. The imprint is teaching them that intimacy is not a trophy. It is a field, and fields require care. That is why their quiet moments become almost physical. They remember the imagined softness, then feel the ache of what it would demand. They picture your face close enough to blur, then sense the weight of needing to be truthful afterward. They want the sweetness, but sweetness asks for stewardship. They want the warmth, but warmth exposes whether their hands are clean. Inside them, the old pattern wrestles with the new realization. The old pattern says, take comfort and stay guarded. The new realization says, if you approach, approach with honor. If you touch, touch with truth. If you come near, do not leave confusion on the floor like spilled wine. So the ghost of your kiss becomes more than desire. It becomes instruction. It teaches them that the body can reveal what the ego hides. It teaches them that longing without integrity becomes hunger, but longing with courage can become a doorway. And on the other side of that doorway, they begin to understand that your heart is not a possession to win, but a sacred place to respect. The Page of Pentacles reversed pauses before that sacred place, chosen one, because they are realizing your heart cannot be entered with immature hands. They may have once believed time would wait for them. They may have thought they could keep you near through curiosity, delayed effort, or the quiet promise of almost. But your transformation has changed the soil beneath this connection. What used to linger in uncertainty now has to meet the ground. What used to survive on feeling now has to produce proof. Yet, while they wrestle with desire, you are rising. You are not the same person who once tried to decode every small signal. You are not sitting by the window of someone else's hesitation, asking whether the footsteps are finally coming toward you. Something in you has become steadier. The coin is in your own hand now. Your worth is no longer lying outside you, waiting to be picked up by someone who may or may not understand its weight. And they feel that shift like weather changing. They feel when your energy no longer rushes toward them. They feel when your silence is not punishment, but peace. They feel when your softness becomes selective, when your attention becomes sacred, when your life begins to grow vines in directions that do not depend on their arrival. That is where urgency begins inside them, not panic alone. Recognition. They begin to see that you are building, quietly, patiently, with your own hands. You are planting better thoughts, choosing cleaner rooms, walking away from conversations that leave your spirit hungry. You are learning that love should not require you to shrink, audition, or beg for consistency. And the more you honor yourself, the less available you become to anyone who brings only potential. This is the inner tension pressing on them now. They want the sweetness of your presence, but they sense that sweetness belongs to someone prepared to be real. They want access to the garden, but they have not always tended what was already offered. They want the coin of possibility, yet the coin has turned, asking whether they can invest effort instead of fantasy. Chosen one, your growth is not a threat, but to someone delaying truth, it can feel like one, because every step you take into self-respect becomes a quiet deadline. Not a deadline you announce, a deadline your spirit carries. The psychological movement is happening when they understand that losing you would not come from one dramatic ending. It could happen softly, through missed chances, through silence that went on too long, through your peace becoming more attractive than their uncertainty. And that is the awakening. If they want to meet you where you stand, they must stop admiring your value and start honoring it. The fool steps into the place where admiration must become honor, chosen one, because standing at the edge is different from dreaming about the road. They have spent long enough in the country of almost. Almost speaking, almost reaching, almost confessing that your memory has followed them through rooms they thought were empty. Fantasy has been convenient because fantasy asks for nothing. It lets them kiss you in the mind without risking rejection in the world. It lets them feel brave while remaining safely hidden. But the edge is here now. There is sunlight over the cliff and butterflies moving like thoughts that have finally grown wings. There is a small companion beside the traveler, a living reminder that instinct already knows when the path must begin. Even the mountain in the distance does not look like punishment. It looks like growth. It looks like the kind of climb that proves whether desire has feet. So the question becomes less about feeling and more about courage. They may want to send the message, then close the screen. They may type a line, erase it, and pretend nothing happened. They may imagine your response with such force that they mistake imagination for action. But chosen one, intention without movement is still a room with no door opened. A feeling kept forever inside the chest can become beautiful. Yes, but it can also become a cage. That is the inner tension inside them now. Part of them wants innocence, the leap, the clean beginning, the chance to come toward you without carrying every old fear like luggage. Another part still clutches the familiar ledge, because the ledge has excuses. The ledge has privacy. The ledge has the comfort of never finding out what truth would require. Yet you are no longer responding to potential alone. You are not here to be courted by invisible devotion. You are not here to be adored only in dreams, watched from a distance, or remembered in the dark while daylight brings no evidence. Your spirit has become too awake for that, and they can feel it. They know the ghost of your kiss cannot remain a private theatre forever. It must either become a doorway into honest effort, or it will become another lesson about avoidance. The body has spoken. The memory has spoken. The quiet has spoken. Now behavior must speak. Their psychological movement begins when they realize that the leap is not reckless if it is honest. It is not foolish to approach with respect. It is not weakness to admit that someone moved you. The real foolishness would be standing before a living path, feeling your heart pull forward and choosing to remain motionless because pride prefers safety. Chosen one, this is where fantasy kneels before reality, and reality asks for steps. 3 of Pentacles reversed meets that demand for steps, chosen one, because a path cannot be built by one person walking toward truth, while the other keeps studying the blueprint upside down. Reality asks for movement, but it also asks for cooperation. It asks whether the inner longing can become something shaped between 2 living people. Not just a confession thrown into the air. Not just a kiss used as proof of passion. Something steadier. Something where word, action, timing, and tenderness begin working like hands on the same wall. This is where the threshold appears. They may feel the pressure now in the smallest details. The unfinished message. The invitation almost made. The look held a second longer than before. Their spirit is standing beside a half-built doorway, realizing that silence has no more bricks to offer. Avoidance can only delay construction. It cannot create a home. There are 3 coins in the image, but the arrangement is inverted, and that speaks to the conflict inside them. They may have desire, memory, and intention, but those pieces have not fully aligned. One part of them wants emotional closeness. Another part wants control. Another part wants the comfort of knowing your answer before risking the question. But love cannot be assembled from hidden tools. Chosen one, this is why the coming moment feels charged. It may not arrive with thunder. It may come in a simple opening, a conversation that suddenly becomes honest, a pause where the old mask slips, a message that carries more weight than its words. The air will feel different because both of you will sense that the old distance has reached the end of its usefulness. Still, you are not being asked to build alone. Your role is not to drag their courage across the floor. Your role is to stay present with your truth. Warm but not vague. Open but not unguarded. Gentle but not willing to become the entire foundation, while someone else stands there admiring the architecture. The inner tension reaches its sharpest point when they realize that a private haunting cannot mature without shared reality. They can remember your nearness. They can imagine your mouth. They can feel the echo in their quietest hours. But until they participate honestly, the connection remains like scaffolding around a sanctuary that has not yet been entered. And by the time this reaches its turning point, nothing can stay hidden. The psychological movement is from solitary longing into relational courage. They begin to understand that if they want a place in your life, they must help build clarity, not merely visit desire. They must bring their voice, their effort, their steadiness, their respect. Because the threshold is not crossed by feeling alone. It opens when both truth and action arrive together. The 9 of Wands receives truth and action at the same gate. Chosen one, because after everything you have endured, you are no longer standing there unprotected. You have been through enough half-built doors, enough almosts, enough warm moments followed by cold confusion, enough people who enjoyed your light, then disappeared when the light asked them to become honest. So now you stand with a different kind of grace. Not bitter, not closed, but watchful, like someone who has learned the difference between a visitor and a vow. There are staffs behind you, like memories planted in hard soil. Each one marks a place where you had to survive disappointment without letting it make you cruel. Each one remembers a night you wanted softness but received silence. Each one remembers the moment you decided that being chosen by someone else could never matter more than choosing yourself, and still, your heart remains alive. That is the miracle. Not that you never got wounded. Not that you never hoped too long, trusted too quickly, or tried to see the best in someone who kept giving you fragments. The miracle is that tenderness did not die inside you. It became wiser. It learned gates. It learned timing. It learned that love should feel like shelter, not a battlefield where you keep proving you are worth protection. So if this person is haunted by your kiss, let the haunting mature them. If your memory follows them into silence, let that silence teach them courage. If your presence moves through their quietest hours like a black wing crossing the moon, let them understand that desire is not permission to disturb your peace. It is an invitation to become worthy of entering it. Chosen one, you are not waiting to be selected like someone standing outside a locked house. You are the house. You are the threshold. You are the fire already burning inside the room. Whoever approaches must come with clean hands, steady breath, and a willingness to speak plainly. This is not punishment. This is alignment. Your boundary is not a wall against love. It is a sacred fence around the garden where love must learn how to walk gently. You can be open and still discerning. You can be hopeful and still grounded. You can feel the pull and still refuse to be pulled back into uncertainty. The inner realization now belongs to you as much as it belongs to them. You do not need to fear the power of the connection. You only need to watch what it produces. Does it bring clarity or does it keep you guessing? Does it honor your spirit or only awaken your longing? Because the kiss may haunt them, but your worth must govern you. and the final gate opens only where courage meets respect. And where courage meets respect, chosen one, the spirit can finally rest its weapon by the door. So breathe here. Let the gate stand. Let the garden remain sacred. You do not have to rush toward every feeling simply because it glows. You do not have to call every haunting a promise. You do not have to confuse intensity with devotion, or memory with maturity. What is real will not only visit them in silence, it will teach them how to arrive in daylight. And while they are learning, you are allowed to remain whole. You are allowed to be soft without becoming available to confusion. You are allowed to miss someone and still honor the standard your healing gave you. You are allowed to feel the invisible thread without wrapping it around your own throat. Chosen one, let the kiss be what it is, a symbol, a spark, a mirror, a doorway, but do not make it your altar unless truth kneels there too. If this connection is meant to become something grounded, it will not require you to abandon yourself to receive it. It will meet you with clarity. It will speak with action. It will carry warmth without making you question your worth. So tonight, return to your own breath. Return to your own body. Return to the quiet throne inside you. And remember this: love may knock, but peace decides who enters.